If I told you at the end of last season that this offseason the Phoenix Suns would get a deeper bench, they'd shoot more threes this year, and they'd have an offensive-minded head coach, but would finish worse than they did last year, would you actually believe me? The national pundits seem to think the Suns could finish worse, as do analytics projections. In fact, one of those projections actually had the Suns finishing 3 losses worse than last season. But it doesn't make sense to me for 3 factors that were mentioned before. And that's why the Phoenix Suns should actually be considered a Western Conference final contender and an NBA championship contender. Just take the preseason, for example. The Phoenix Suns shot 44 threes per game in the preseason. Compare that to last season, where they ranked 25th in the league and shot 32.6 three-pointers. Now you say, hey, wouldn't you see a significant drop-off in percentage, though, when you take more? Wasn't the case. The Phoenix Suns actually finished 9th in the preseason in three-point percentage at 35.5%, and that was with 5 games out of the 6, not including Grayson Allen in the lineup. The Phoenix Suns upped their volume, and last year that was a sign of success because they won 74.3% of their games when they shot above league average per game. They were 26-9 in those cases. Now, in the preseason, they shot the 6th most. That in and of itself should actually make this Phoenix Suns team better. And that's a direct correlation to new head coach Mike Budenholzer, who not only has brought a motion offense that finds the wide open three-point shooters, but also has brought new vibes to a team that struggled mightily with their emotions last year and how they played together. This preseason has been a breath of fresh air. As the ball's moved around, the offense looks like it knows what it's doing, and the players are actually having fun again. But that's not the only reasons to actually think the Phoenix Suns could be contenders. Look at their bench. The depth is undeniable compared to where they started last year. Just consider it. This year, the Phoenix Suns have Monte Morris, Mason Plumlee, Ryan Dunn, Royce O'Neal, Grayson Allen. Yeah, he was a starter last year, but he's on the bench now, and Oso Ighodaro. Compare that to where the Suns started last year with their depth, when they had Keita Bates-Diop, who's now been waived by the Minnesota Timberwolves, Drew Eubanks, who's 3rd string in Utah, Jordan Goodwin, who was just cut by the Lakers, Saben Lee, who's playing overseas, Nasir Little, who was just cut by the Miami Heat, Chimezie Metu, who's playing overseas, and Yuta Watanabe, who's playing overseas. If you compare those 2 benches, you can't deny that the Phoenix Suns are deeper this year than they were last, with more offensive threats than they had last year as well, and a potential defensive weapon in Ryan Dunn, who showed a propensity to be able to hit the wide open three-pointers that he needs to make to be a key part of this rotation. Well, last year there was hope for the Phoenix Suns bench. This year, there's proof with a lot of these guys, as Monte Morris and Mason Plumlee are grizzled veterans that you know what to expect, as are Grayson Allen and Royce O'Neal. This team is significantly deeper, and that was one of the biggest issues with last season's team. When you combine that with Coach Mike Budenholzer and the attempts of three-pointers being way up from where they were last year, the Phoenix Suns not only should well exceed the 46 wins that some think they'll get, but should well exceed their 49 wins from last year and should put them in the mix to win the Western Conference and be considered a top contender for the NBA Finals. So that's why you shouldn't believe so-called experts or so-called analytics projections, because there's a lot of reasons to look at this Suns team where the eye test makes you believe a lot more than the statistics might have you think.
We all silly like the mayor.